Did you know that some ghosts don't need to be seen to be felt? Imagine lying in your bed, all lights off, with nothing but the sound of your own breath to keep you company. And then you feel it. A touch. But nothing's there. Skin crawling yet. It should be. Welcome to the Nightside Archive, where the dark has many shapes. Tonight we explore a chilling tragedy aptly titled The Phantom Hands of Elmway Drive. Back in 1970, Elmway Drive was a quiet suburban street in a small, close-knit town in Oregon. You'd never expect it to become a breeding ground for one of the most chilling mysteries ever recorded. But it did. The story begins with the Taylor family, Henry, his wife Margaret, and their teenage daughter Lucy. They were living their dream in a charming red brick house nestled beneath a canopy of elm trees. But as idyllic as it seemed, Elmway would soon turn into their waking nightmare. It all started with Lucy. Just 16 years old, Lucy was, by all appearances, a normal teenage girl. But one night, her piercing scream shattered the tranquility of the neighborhood. Her parents found her in her room, trembling and pale, insisting that someone had grabbed her wrist while she was reaching for the light switch. "It was cold, Mom," she whispered, "like ice," thinking it must have been her imagination or, at worst, a prank from a neighborhood kid sneaking in. The Taylors dismissed Lucy's story. But then it happened again. And it wasn't just Lucy. Margaret, weeks later, was alone in the kitchen unpacking groceries. The phone rang, and as she reached for it, her hand froze midway. A distinct pressure, like fingers caressing the back of her palm, stopped her cold. No one was there. She checked the entire house, calling for Henry, who was out mowing the lawn. No signs of anyone entering, no footprints, nothing. Yet Margaret swore to her grave that she wasn't imagining it. As the weeks turned into months, these phantom hands, as locals later called them, grew bolder. Henry, ever the skeptic, thought it was hysteria feeding off coincidences. Until one night during his weekly poker game in the living room, everything changed. He had just shuffled the cards when he felt it, a firm grip on his forearm. Startled, he jumped up, yelling, "Who in the—" only to find his friends staring back in confusion. No one else had touched him. This couldn't be ignored. Now, nearly every member of the Taylor household experienced the strange phenomenon, each recounting sensations too real to dismiss as tricks of the mind. Cold, deliberate. These were not fleeting, harmless encounters. They were tactile, intelligent, predatory. Let's pause for a moment. What would you do in their shoes? Call the police? Move out? Believe it or not, the Taylors stayed. They hired a priest to bless the house, hoping to exorcise whatever unknown force was at play. But if anything, the blessing seemed to enrage the unseen entity. Soldiers of darkness, they say, have a penchant for revenge. And this one had a twisted sense of humor. The phantom hands escalated their activity from casual touches to harmful grips. Lucy once woke up with bruises on her arms. Margaret complained about feeling strangled while taking a nap. And one night, Henry swore something tried to shove him down the staircase. Friends stopped visiting. Neighbors whispered. Rumors spread like wildfire. Some said the house stood on cursed ground. Others claimed a vengeful spirit clung to the family. But what was most chilling? The Taylor house wasn't the only one plagued by this phenomenon. Reports began surfacing from other households on Elmway Drive. In one case, a little boy claimed invisible fingers suddenly snatched his favorite toy right out of his hand. Another elderly woman talked about her chair suddenly being pulled back while she was knitting. One by one, the residents of Elmway either moved out or kept their blinds closed tight. hoping not to be next. Paranormal investigators were eventually called to examine the Taylor house, and their findings were deeply unsettling. Using thermal cameras and electromagnetic field detectors, they recorded what appeared to be cold spots, freezing, inhumanly cold, hovering at random locations. In one hair-raising moment, they captured video footage showing the outline of disembodied fingers trailing along the surface of Lucy's bedroom wall. The investigators couldn't provide answers. They left after a week, shaken and unwilling to return. Whatever existed on Elmway Drive, it wasn't following any rules of the physical world. As time passed, the activity only waned when the Taylor family finally decided to leave. They couldn't sell the house. No one wanted to buy it, so it stood there, empty and dilapidated, for decades. Only the most daring teenagers prowled near it during Halloween, swearing they felt phantom fingers grazing their backs as they dared each other to knock on the door. Then there's the catastrophic ending of this tale. Elmway Drive no longer exists. In 1999, the area was flooded during an unusual storm, and much of the street, including the Taylor house, was lost beneath murky waters. Some say it was Mother Nature purging something wicked, while others wonder whether those phantom hands reached out to drag the entire street down into a watery abyss. So, what happened to these ghostly hands? Were they restless spirits? A glitch between two dimensions? Or something even darker, something no one dares to name? Let us know in the comments what you think. Could you live on a street where the unseen reaches out for you, for no apparent reason? And just remember, next time you stretch your hand into darkness, that touch you feel might not be as innocent as you think. Thank you for joining us in the Nightside Archive. Until next time, stay curious and stay in the light.